Hi everyone, it's Bonnie from Circulation. I was doing some cleaning the other day and I found out I have a whole lot of envelopes and no cards to put in them. And as it's not a great time to go shopping, the stores are closed as you know, so I thought it might be kind of fun to try to make some cards that would fit these envelopes that I have. So I got out my watercolor paper, and with the help of my paper cutter, I measured to see what size card I needed for those envelopes, and I did that. Today, what I'm going to show you is how to make a couple cards. One of them is this birthday card that I made with the moon, and it's really the same technique that you can use to make something like this. Now, this birthday card has all birthday wishes, but you also could do anniversary wishes or get well wishes, anything like that. It's the same technique of wet on wet watercolor. So to start with, you don't have to have fancy supplies. I'm going to be kind of using it as a tilt, but of course when you're doing your watercolor at home, you want to make sure you have a flat surface. And as a hack that I saw on the internet, you can use a clipboard. And painter's tape will hold your project in place and it'll keep it flat as well. So that's what we're going to do to start. I've got my project here. We're going to start with the moon. And I'm going to take my painter's tape roll and use it as a guide to draw a circle. With my pencil, I'm going to draw a light circle inside. And I might take it away. You see the circle. Now for this technique for watercolor, what we're going to use is a brush that's like this size. And I'm also going to be using a brush that's this size. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my big flat one, and I've got my water in 2 jars. I've got 1 jar of clear water to load the water on my project and 1 that I'm using to wipe my brushes off. So I'm going to load it up with the clean water, and I'm just going to paint right inside that line and make that surface wet. And of course, like I said, when you do your watercolor, you're going to put this flat on the table so that it doesn't run. But in order to show you, I'm going to try to do it this way and see if we can get the job done. So the next thing we're going to do, I have my watercolor packet right here, and I'm going to open that up, and I am going to load my brush with a dark blue color. And I have it on my brush, and I'm just going to dip the tip of the brush in there, and I'm just going to start doing this. And as you see, it just kind of bleeds in, which is what I want it to do. Now I'm going to paint around the edge a little bit because I want that to be dark. And I'm not making it completely full. So you can see there's spots. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to go into the deep purple. And again, I'm going to load it up. I'm going to dip the end in my water, and I'm just going to put some splotches of purple. And again, when you have it flat, it's not going to run quite as much, and it'll just bleed into the areas that it's supposed to bleed into. But it eventually, you know, you're going to go back and just get the colors. Now remember, when watercolor dries, it's going to dry a lot lighter than what you're looking at. And again, dip it in, and I'm going to put just almost gives it a tie-dye look to it, like that. Again, if you want a little bit lighter, I mean, or darker on the edges, you can do that. So right now it looks pretty dark, but once it dries, it's going to be lighter. And that's going to be your basis for your moon. You can also use a hair dryer if you want to dry that. Of course, you're going to want this completely dry before you go to the next step of this card. I'm going to take that off. my board, and I've got a dry one that I did previously, so I'm going to put that on and show you how we do those trees, which are really not that hard. All right. Now, to do the trees, I've got a very tiny paintbrush that I'm going to use. You can see it's very, very tiny. And on this one, the difference now that we're doing, this is completely dry. And you want to keep that dry to do the next step. And so the next step, I'm going to take my darkest green and maybe add even a little black into it. A little bit of water. And we're not wetting our surface, we're keeping it dry. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line down the middle here, or off to the side. And I need to get some more paint on my paintbrush. And then you're just going to go out to the sides. In no particular order, just making a little tree there. Just like that. And you're going to do it again. You're going to want your trees a little bit different, you know, heights. And it's just to give that appearance of the edge of the forest. Just like that. And you can keep going. Do one more over here, just so you, again, I just did the one line down, and then I'm just kind of using some brush strokes to either side, like that, okay? You can do as many as you want. Again, I have quite a few on my sample card, but you can do, you know, as many as you want or as few as you want. Now, if your trees get too dark, you can always add a little highlight, which is just a little bit of the green and white. And if you go back over it with that, just a few strokes in there, it's going to look almost like there's snow on the tree, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you can see that. So to do the stars, the next thing you're going to do, it's really hard to see white water paint on this type of surface. So for that, I get out my acrylic white like that. And I'm going to take that tiny, tiny brush again. And at this time, I'm not putting too much water on my brush because I really want that to show up. But I do have it on this little tiny brush, as you can see, if I put it in the blue. And you're just going to dot your sky with stars, and they can be different sizes, different amounts, and you're just going to have fun with it. Really, watercolor is, you know, it kind of hard to control watercolor. It kind of does what it wants, and that's the beauty of it. But now you have all your little stars. You can see that in your night sky. And maybe you want a little northern star, and that's fine. Got a little bit more paint, and then I'm just going to do just the tiniest, faintest line down and a little bit over. And then I'm going to just put some little rays in there. So it looks like it's shining, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of like right up in there. So that is all that is to that. And then you can write your message, you know, happy birthday, I love you, whatever you want to write on that, around that moon. And that's all there is to that. Now that you know the technique of water on water, the other fun project that I did was my, let me see if I can get that for you real quick. Here it is. Sorry. Here's the card. Again, all different colors of watercolor. And you're going to take your, I have washi tape, this little stuff right here, and it doesn't stick too hard. So I just kind of made my graph of what I wanted to paint. And then I'm going to stick this again on my board with the blue duct tape. Excuse me, painter's tape rather, not duct tape. That's going to go down on there, just like that. And then this is just a really, really fun project because you're going to basically pick any spot in here and you're just going to water it down. And then you're going to take this paintbrush right here and you're going to pick a paint, whatever color you want to do, dip the tip in the water, and then just kind of put these splotches. And again, this is why you want to work on a flat surface because it will run, and it'll run wherever that water is. And then you can even choose a darker color or lighter color and put just a little bit of that too in there, and it makes it almost like a tie-dye kind of thing. Again, I'm just taking my paintbrush and loading it up, dipping it in the water, and then dipping it in that spot right there. And you can continue through with this little project. Keep filling in the blocks, whatever color you want to use. Again, I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to paint one of those squares. Once that's there, I've loaded up my brush with green and I'm going to just dab, and then that's going to go in. And then again, you can add maybe you want to add a blue to this and just put a couple blue spots in there. And then almost like does a tie-dye effect. And once that's dry, you're going to peel off this tape, and that's going to have your sections. And once you have those sections, then you can write your little messages in them, just like that. So, oops, let me hold that straight so it's not bouncing. So here, those are a couple other couple ideas for you. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you all are having a nice day. Can't wait to see you back at the library. Until then, hope you stay well, hope you stay safe, and I'll see you at Radnor. Bye.